All right, welcome back to the channel. So Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney have a big back and forth. And in the middle of the conversation, Teofimo Lopez starts dropping a bunch of N-bombs on Devin Haney. Devin Haney is calling him the P word, but the fact that Teofimo Lopez, you would use that word so openly, considering some of the accusations he's made about other people, it's absolutely mind-boggling to me. Let's talk about what they said to each other and the likelihood of those guys fighting, and what Teofimo Lopez said in the conversation. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Teofimo Lopez is being accused of being a racist by many people after having listened to what he said to Devin Haney in an altercation that these guys had during the DAZN fight card last night. Teofimo Lopez got into the exchange with Devin Haney over the conversation of these guys fighting each other in the boxing ring. Devin Haney is the WBC regular champ. Teofimo Lopez is the WBC franchise champ, the IBF champ, the WBA champ, the WBO champ, right? And Devin Haney is pushing to try to get a fight with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is saying we can fight, and we can fight. You know, what happened to you with the contract with Bob Arum, and they go back and forth over that stuff, right? So when I talk about it, I'm going to talk about two things. One is actually whether or not that is going to push us towards a fight, but also the fact that people are now pointing at Teofimo Lopez and saying what Teofimo Lopez did was wrong, and saying pretty much flat out saying that they believe Teofimo Lopez is a racist. Now, on the first tip, I don't think that exchange and all that stuff is going to in any way affect whether these guys are going to fight or not. I think that fight, if it takes place, is going to happen at 140 pounds. Teofimo Lopez has one more fight in that weight class, and he says he wants to move up. Teofimo Lopez has been very, very direct about what his next steps are going to be, and I don't believe that they include Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney honestly wants that fight and is pushing for that fight. And if that fight was made available to Devin Haney by Top Rank and Matchroom, and those guys could work it out, I believe that Devin Haney would take that fight and make that fight. I do believe that Devin Haney is the one that is pushing for the fight, and I think Teofimo Lopez is being defensive about it and saying he's willing to fight and all that. But at the same time, if you listen to what he says when he's away from Devin Haney, you know that may not exactly be the case. He says that he wants to move up to 140 pounds after this fight with George Kambosos, and he wants to fight with Josh Taylor. That's the fight that he's looking for. And if he moves to 140, then the belt that Devin Haney has at 135, is pretty much irrelevant. So, that's what I was getting out of it. But then I did hear what Teofimo Lopez was saying, and here's my take on it. I do not believe that based off what he said that I believe that he's a racist. I can't, off of what he said, I would not go there. What I would attribute that to is basically a young culture of people that are using that word and throwing it around at each other, and whether it be in rap music, whether it just be in regular conversations. And the use of it is so prevalent amongst the younger generation of people that they don't really put as much weight on that as somebody my age, and definitely people older than me. Because if this was somebody, if that was happening early in the 80s, that would have been a fight, 100% for sure a fight. But when Teofimo Lopez was saying it conversationally, like that's something that he and his boys throw back and forth. I, really didn't appreciate it, and it basically prickled me every time I heard it. But I won't say that in and of itself would mean to me that he doesn't respect black people, and that, I wouldn't say that was the tone in which he used it in. I personally think that it's inappropriate for him to use it, and I also think that it is bad. It's just real bad taste. And even though I know that I do it now and again myself, it's just the use of that word has just been, it's not very, very, it's just starting to be ubiquitous. But at the same time, there are people that really, if you use that, that there are people that are going to take offense to that. So, I wouldn't advise people doing it. And I'm not upset at all at anybody that takes offense from it. I will, however, say this about Teofimo Lopez, having had personal experience with, not with them directly, but secondhand about things that my understanding is that Teofimo Lopez or his father and people that they were around, channels that they were going to, had to say about me. And I find it mighty ironic that somebody that I know, at least that I've heard of, is called me a racist because I support black fighters, would run around and use that word and not think anybody would take exception to it, right? So now, to me, I know what's going to happen when people point out that Teofimo Lopez said this and people aren't happy about it. They're going to say exactly the justification, and I'm not going to say it's a justification. I just gave an explanation about it. I don't think it's right at all. I don't think that they should be I don't think that you should be throwing that word around like that at all. But I just find it mighty ironic for people that are that quick, especially on YouTube, and in boxing conversations with Teofimo and channels that Teofimo Lopez goes to and supports, will run around calling black people racist for not supporting Teofimo Lopez, or supporting Devin Haney over Teofimo Lopez, or picking Vasily Lomachenko against Teofimo Lopez, or whatever it was, the rationale that these guys had for calling a bunch of black people racist, for them to run around using the N-word like it doesn't matter, to me strikes of some pretty serious hypocrisy, man. So now I don't really think that much is going to come of it. This whole conversation has been going on since, before Jennifer, in the 90s, when Jennifer Lopez used the word in the song that she had in the 1990s. People were like, can she say that? Can she? But she's from Puerto, be like, oh, she's Puerto Rican, she's from New York, and that's the way people in New York talk. Well, I know that Teofimo Lopez is from New York, and I know that those guys throw that stuff around very loosely out there, man. But that doesn't mean that people in Texas do that, or people in Chicago do that, or people in Florida do that, right? When you get into an international audience and you do that, you very well can offend people, and people are going to hear that stuff the way they want to hear it, and aren't necessarily going to go out of their way to try to figure out whether you meant it friendly, or try to figure out, oh, Teofimo Lopez, I know he's not white. Is he Ecuadorian? I know there's a lot of blacks in Ecuador, and maybe he's, all of that stuff. Some people are just going to be flat out insulted by it. Personally, like I said, I can't put that label on Teofimo Lopez myself, just because I know that that's how these dudes are talking to each other. I walked by groups of little white kids talking to each other, calling themselves that. Now, maybe you could make the argument that whenever you use the word Negro in a demeaning fashion, that and you connect it to anything, that you're demeaning the word, you're demeaning the people. Like I said, man, I ain't upset at anybody that would be upset at Teofimo Lopez over it, and I can 100% understand their justification for being upset with Teofimo Lopez. If people are not upset with Teofimo Lopez and they just chalk it up to that's what society is, look, man, I've had younger guys tell me a lot of stuff about the way the younger people see the world as being different than, different than I see it. Like if you guys can remember when Clarissa Shields' brother got into it with a trainer, I can't remember the name of the trainer, and he punched a trainer over something that trainer had said to Clarissa Shields' sister, right? There were a lot of younger people like, hey man, nowadays, they don't care how old you are. If you're talking smack, somebody's going to come and get you, right? So in their generation, they didn't see that there was anything wrong with a younger man hitting an older man. When I was raised, that was pretty much not acceptable. Not saying it didn't happen, but it wasn't acceptable. It wasn't just something people like, yeah, well, you can expect that. You can be 80 years old. If you say something wrong, a 17-year-old kid can beat you up, right? But, so the world has changed in at least in the way that people talk about it openly. So it's also changed, obviously, in the way that people use that word. But Teofimo Lopez himself and his camp, if people jump all over him, I don't feel sorry for him, because they don't got any problem calling people racist at all. So since they don't have any problem calling people racist, I certainly hope they don't have any problem with a bunch of people that are saying the same thing to them after those words are used. But Anyway, that's my take on the situation. As far as the fight happening, no, I mean, come on, man. That fight ain't gonna happen. If that fight was gonna happen, that fight would have already happened, and Teofimo Lopez wouldn't be talking about moving up to fight Josh Taylor. Teofimo Lopez is not long for that weight class. He will be up at 140 pounds. More than likely, there will not be a franchise champion after he moves up. Devin Haney then will be the only real champion, WBC champion in that division. Then hopefully he'll be able to fight for the other belts that Teofimo Lopez drops. Anyway, that's how I see it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.